Up this lovely old propeller today. There are a few things in life as enjoyable as polishing up a bit of brass, because it does come up so nicely, and hopefully this will come up nicely too. I'm out of brasso, which is a bit annoying, but I've got some other polishes, most of which do a job of some description or other, and we'll get there, I'm sure. So very interesting bit of kit. This is a propeller off a narrowboat, chugging away up the canals of Britain, old motorways as they were before transportation changed gear and it all went on the roads. Propellers themselves are, of course, ever so interesting bits of engineering themselves. This is a beautiful design. I think that's the angle of it's the pitch. And depending on sort of things like the pitch and the size and the rotational speed, you get different propellers to do different things. Some are more geared towards torque and towing things. Some are more geared towards top speed, to stop something called cavitation, which is when you start breaking apart the water effectively at really high speeds, which you get on speedboats and things like that. But you also get them on giant propellers because the tips go around very fast. I think the history of propellers, of course, goes back before Christ, and with the Archimedes and his screw, and then moving on, I think China, there was some sort of toy helicopter they had, and over years, they became more considerations around propellers. I think the Americans with the boat, the Turtle, that they used to attack one of our ships in, I think, New York Harbor or something like that. That had propeller propulsion in the early 1800s, to our Navy taking it on in the end about 1845-50. I think there was some great battle where they got two pretty much identical boats, one with a paddle, one with a propeller. I think it was Rattler with a propeller, and the propeller boat dragged the other one for 5 nautical miles across the North Sea. So proving finally that they were a better form of moving boats around, and they've been used ever since. I think the biggest ones, super tankers, have, they can be tons. I think that the biggest one ever made was something like 95 tons, and it could take, best part of 100 megawatts of power. This is thousands and thousands of shaft horsepower to push and move. The amount of water you need to move one of those enormous super tankers is just stunning, really. This is just for a small narrowboat. Probably, though, I expect a narrowboat, I don't know this for sure, but I could imagine it must be a few tons. I should think they are, 5 or 6 tons maybe, something like that, and they fill the bottoms with brick, don't they, to stop them tipping over. So I can imagine, there's still a fair bit of momentum in a narrowboat, even chugging along at 3 or 4 miles an hour all day. A little Lister engine, or even better, a Gardner if you can afford one of those. But chugging along up and down the canal, what could be better? Unfortunately, I haven't got the narrowboat, but I have got this lovely propeller, which I got off eBay. I think it was on a Facebook Marketplace for all of like 40 quid or something like that. But when you think of the one, I think it's phosphor bronze, not just brass. It's phosphor bronze, to give it a lot more strength and to have the ability to take a few knocks as well, because it might occasionally hit a rock or something like that. So I think it's quite a ductile material. You can takes a good bashing, and it's but it polishes up beautifully. Interestingly, there are jobs. I think there's videos on YouTube of people cleaning propellers on these super tankers, because when they're clean, they're more efficient. And if you're putting the sort of fuel you need to put in to move one of those things across an ocean, then those efficiencies really add up. Interesting objects, interesting technology, goes back thousands of years, been perfected, I'm sure, these days, but there's always more to do, isn't there? I think on ships now, sailing boats rather, they have these folding propellers where these are on hinges, and the rotational speed pops them out. So when they're not in use, when you're under sail, they then fold flat, so they don't create drag in the water. what a clever idea that is. And of course, you know, they do share a lot of similarities with you know, those used on aircraft and helicopters, of course. Leonardo da Vinci and his concept of a helicopter all those years ago, you know, and only just recently, I think someone actually made one, didn't they, and found that it could actually fly. So it just shows if it looks right, it usually is. So this is today's little treat, polishing up the old propeller. Let's see what it comes out like. Oh, that looks better already. Inca gold. Perhaps this one's made of Inca gold. If it was, I could weigh it in, because it must weigh about 16 kilos. It's so heavy. It's heavier than you think it would be, because I think it's quite a dense material, this bronze, and it does weigh quite a lot, you know. I keep it outside because obviously, hopefully it's waterproof, and when you polish it up and the sun glints on it, it just looks lovely. So there you have it, narrow boat propeller, and ready to go back in the garden and shine away for another couple of months. I do enjoy polishing brass. It's lovely, very satisfying. There you are. Cheers for now.